Response, Kayleigh McEnany, she's the spokesperson. She's a spokesperson, I should say, for the Republican National Committee. Kayleigh, thanks for coming on. Always appreciate your time.
Thanks so much for having me, Craig.
What do you make of what we just heard from Congressman Gutierrez there about the president's decision on DACA yesterday?
Well, it was rather hypocritical to hear him say that it's about words, not action, because where was the action in 2009? Where was the action in 2010 when Democrats held both the House, the Senate, and the presidency? If Dreamers were such a priority, why weren't they then prioritized? Why wasn't there a permanent solution, a permanent legislative congressional DACA put forward, not an unconstitutional one? It didn't exist because there was no compassion then.
I just don't know if the American people of these 800,000 so-called Dreamers are going to be well served by relitigating past administrations, because, again, to be fair, it wasn't just the Obama administration, it was the Bush administration before his as well that wasn't able to complete comprehensive immigration reform. I think for folks right now who are watching and listening, who are waiting with bated breath for Congress to act, they want to feel like Congress is actually going to act this time.
Yes, that's important, no doubt, and the president has said that. He wants Congress to act, but I think it's important we look through the president's eyes at the two scenarios he faced. First of all, we know the counterpart to DACA, DAPA, was rescinded by a court. It was temporarily enjoined. The president knew that DACA was going to go down the same path. That means immediately it would have been enjoined. DACA would no longer exist. Or you could give it 6 months, push Congress, say we need a solution on behalf of these kids, but we also need a solution that's constitutional. He opted for the lawful, compassionate solution. The other would have been an unacceptable result.
Well, I mean, he kicked the can back to Congress.
Well, that's where it belongs. We have separation of powers. It's within Congress's Article I powers to negotiate something on behalf of these kids and on behalf of the American people. And that's where it needs to be.
But he also gave the impression last night via Twitter, of course, that Congress did not act. He would again step in, perhaps. Congress now has 6 months to legalize DACA, something the Obama administration was unable to do. If they can't, I will revisit the issue. It seems like the president there is erasing the red line that he created just a few hours before.
No, that's the president being compassionate. That's the president saying, look, I want to come up with a solution. He wants to help these kids, but he also wants to enforce the laws. He's going back and forth with trying to find something, trying to find a solution, and I think that tweet was a way of pushing Congress to get their job done. Congress needs to step up now. We have to come up with a solution. And by the way, I would also point you to the fact that Senator Dianne Feinstein said that her own president's law, DACA, was on shaky legal ground. We have to go through Congress. That's what the president is saying with this tweet and with all of his statements, but we have to find a solution that's compassionate too. The
decision announced yesterday comes, of course, after President Trump pardoned convicted criminal Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Why was Sheriff Arpaio worthy of leniency and not the people who were brought here by their parents, many of them at a very young age, and who are now trying to work, who are now in the military, who are now helping out in the relief effort there in Houston, and likely will be doing the same so in Florida?
Well, look, I think the president appreciated the fact that Joe Arpaio tried to implement the law. You know, there's two sides of the story. Most illegal immigrants are good people just wanting to make a life in this country. But I've sat across from a mother who lost her son, Sabine Durden, lost her son, Dominic, at the end of a hit and run with an illegal immigrant who was not supposed to be here. So there's another side to the story, and President Trump wants to prioritize these children.
The example that you just gave, tragic, albeit very tragic, that's the exception and not the rule. And I think we can all agree on that. And when people share stories like that, and again, with Sheriff Arpaio as well, I mean, you cite the fact that he was trying to enforce the law, but there have been myriad examples over the years of where Sheriff Arpaio did not do that, whether it was a woman who was forced to give birth while she was in shackles, or whether it was mocking undocumented immigrants.
Look, I understand that people like to marginalize the stories of American citizens that have lost their life, but one is too many. No American citizen should lose their life because government has chosen not to enforce the law. Not Dominic Durden, not Kate Steinle. And I know people marginalize that as the exception, but one American losing their life is too many. Democrats don't want to prioritize border security, but we owe it to this mother. We owe it to the parents of Kate Steinle to do so. We also owe it to the DACA children to find a reasonable, equitable solution, and I think that we'll find that. We've already seen seen Senator Lindsey Graham saying, I'm willing to attach provisions to the DREAM Act that are going to enforce the border, enforce border security. So there is a happy median here. And I think Republicans, not Democrats, will be the ones to find it.
All right. Well, we heard it here first. I appreciate your time, Kelly. I hope you'll come back.
Thank you, Craig. Anytime.
We continue to watch again.